We're joined now by one of the many people still making a very good living from the Elvis industry. Very good morning to you. 30 years after his death, Chinese Elvis, otherwise known as Paul Hugh. Very good morning to you.
Thank you very much.
Very nice of you to dress down for us this morning.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is my dragon suit. This is an actual replica of Elvis's suit that he wore in 1974, one of the suits you just mentioned, and it's a full Chinese dragon because, as you may recall, Elvis himself was a bit of a fan of kung fu, and the movements that he does on stage are a kind of karate that he actually learned. So this is not some kind of dancing, this is meant to be some kind of martial art, and I thought this would be a nice suit to kind of join.
And where did that come from then? Did he just invent it himself? He liked kung fu and he thought he'd try and incorporate those moves into his dancing?
Well, from what I understand, okay, I'm going to just talk as myself now. Here, Chinese Elvis with this, just to let you know, because I could have been any Elvis. Yeah, I could have been any Elvis with the glasses.
We know that.
Well, the thing is, he was a big fan of the kung fu, but he wasn't particularly very good at it. If you look at it, he was kind of a bit like this. But they gave him a black belt, an honorary black belt, simply because of who he was. He was, you know, he was Elvis Presley. Give him a black belt, and so he incorporated those movements, you know, the hoo-ha, into his act, and that was actually his version of what is called a kata, which is, you know, the actual moves of a martial art. So that explains that.
Now, you've been making a living out of this for some years now.
Yeah.
Many people are around the world, some 30,000 impersonators I read.
Yes.
What makes his appeal so enduring? Why do people still want to see impersonators? After all, they ain't getting to see the real thing again.
Yeah, well, I think the thing about Elvis is that there's something to identify with Elvis for anybody. You know, young, old, black, white, gay, straight, and for me it was simply sort of that association. Elvis had a famous 68 comeback special, and we had a 68 set meal special, number 68, and so that was what it was for me.
What is it about him that you always loved? Is it from a young child? Is this something that just happened over time, or did you always want to be like
be honest,
the king?
The thing that I love the most is the suits. I mean, there's
just
no
like dressing up.
There's no other excuse that I can find for slipping into a nice little jumpsuit. But to be more, you know, frank about it, I think it's the music. Everybody knows an Elvis song, and you know, he recorded over 750 songs, and so that kind of canon has seeped into the popular culture of the whole world, and so that even if you don't know that you like Elvis, you show up at a party where an Elvis is performing and you come away thinking, oh, I like Elvis as well.
Yeah.
So there's very few people who actually don't like Elvis Presley and his music.
Now, he's regularly attributed to having invented rock and roll. That's not really strictly true, is it? But most people see him as in that way, and a quote attributed to John Lennon is that there was nothing before Elvis Presley.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, okay, maybe he didn't invent it, but he made it popular, he popularised it. So it's a bit like Edison didn't necessarily invent the light bulb, because there's now arguments whether he did or not. But the fact is, he's the one who kind of like brought it to the public and patented it, and, you know, and has got all the kudos for doing so. So in that respect, Elvis unarguably has invented rock and roll. So big up to the man, baby.
Now, 30 years on, obviously, there's still a lot of people who remember the King, and probably a lot of people who saw him in concert.
Yes, there are.
Thousands and thousands of people go to Graceland every year. They're doing a big refurbishment of that, spending millions on it. Yeah. Do you think that his appeal will endure as people come through the generations who don't remember his films, who don't remember him? Or do you think gradually the fans will start dying off?
It's a good question. I think from my experience, when I go and do, you know, performances and weddings, for example, where there are young kids who obviously have never heard of Elvis, to be frank, they're a little bit intimidated by the kind of theatricality of it.
Can't possibly imagine why.
Yeah, no, you know, and the suits, but because they see their parents kind of being so embracing of the whole thing, then they soon lose that fear. And the music, you know, who can sit through an Elvis tune without tapping their foot?
OK, talking of tapping your feet, you're going to give us a little rendition of your favourite.
Well, I'm not going to give you a toe-tapping number because I felt that I couldn't do it justice without backing. So, given that, you know, I'm on the hoof here, I thought, what better than a lovely, to send you off into, you know, Sunday morning than with a lovely Elvis ballad. I'll give you a couple of bars of that.
OK. Take it away on that. Thank you, Paul.
Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. Boom, boom. Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Thank you very much.
Well, it would have been better with dancing, Nick.
I don't do dancing.
Now, Paul Hughes, the Chinese Elvis.
That is correct.
We were talking about impersonators. Now, what is it about Elvis that made you want to do this?
Well, Elvis appeals, I would say, to virtually everybody, you know, black, white, Chinese, Asian, young and old. And literally, I'm just a fan who bought himself a jumpsuit, and you know that's all I. That's all.
And it's become your life.
Yeah, that's all it needed for me to get out there.
You're part of the ghastly afterlife.
I'm a part of the ghastly afterlife. I wouldn't like. I mean, I'm a bit kind of sad to hear that it's that ghastly, because the whole point of being an Elvis impersonator is to big up Elvis and to bring and to pay tribute to the man and the music.
But you were 10 when he died.
Correct.
Was it something? Was he someone always that fascinated you, or
well,
my
dad, who's the Chinese one, is he's actually from the West Indies, and so having a lot of natural rhythm, we'd listen to Elvis a lot, and so although when I was 10, when he died, it didn't have that much of an effect on me, as a football-playing youth. But as I've gotten older and learnt more about him, it did have a profound effect on many people. And so I wouldn't want to disrespect that by kind of harping on about the demise of Elvis. The last 6 months when he did get a bit overweight.
But he's always on your mind.
He's always. That's very nice,
Go
man.
on.
Yeah, that's one of my gags.
Give us a go.
Okay. Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind.
Fantastic,
Paul,
Paul.
thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much, man. Thank you.
Text on that.
It's amazing because it is 30 years, obviously, and to see this many fans coming in from all over the world, it is mind-boggling. It really shows, the effect that Elvis has created all over the world.
It may be 3 decades since his death, yet here in Memphis it feels as if the king never left the building. David Willis, BBC News, Memphis, Tennessee.
Is Elvis here? We're joined here in the studio by disc jockey Mike Reed and one of the many Elvis impersonators, Paul.
This is a replica of one of Elvis's very many jumpsuits. And this one is actually called the Chinese Dragon, which I thought would be appropriate given that I am, a.k.a. known as the Chinese Elvis. I just thought I'd take that off, because obviously behind the glasses I could be any old Elvis, but I'm actually Chinese Elvis. This is a Chinese Dragon, and he wore it in 1974, and it was in honour of his love of Eastern martial arts,
yes.
which he became an honorary black belt of. And those kind of wild movements he did on stage were actually, karate.
Yeah.
Karate.
Mike,
Please note.
30 years on, the music still sounds great, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It still lives, it still breathes. I mean, he was a very unusual character. I mean, like the Beatles, it was a fusion of things that came together to make that magic. I mean, he listened to race music, hillbilly music, country music, and suddenly there was this fusion that was rock and roll. I mean, Bill Haley was there. He was sort of fairly anaesthetized in a way. But Elvis suddenly exploded. What it was inside Elvis, the catalyst that brought all these things together, that made him explode in that way, and, hey, only shoot Elvis from the waist up, was just something extraordinary. And it paved the way for so many other musicians and singers.
Paul, you've presumably watched hours and hours of the videos and all the rest of the music. What is it, do you think, 30 years on, that still appeals to people?
I don't think there's one actual thing, but what I would say about Elvis is that he is appealing to everybody, be they black, Chinese, Asian, white, middle class, upper class, lower class, gay, straight. I just think his appeal is enormous, and I really... You could say it's because he's good looking, you could say it's because he's, as Michael was saying, he kind of invented the genre. But I just think there's this, this X factor which people obviously are looking for, but he had it, and he just, he looks good, he's just good to look at, and he's just good to listen to.
Good to look at, certainly,
and the
as far as the early years.
Yeah, he actually got better looking. When you look at the very early, the 1953, 1954 shots of him, he was rather pudgy looking, wasn't he? And then suddenly he got to look like this, and you think, where did that look suddenly come from? I mean, he suddenly looked terrific.
What about the you agree with John Lennon's remark that Elvis died the day he joined the army, or was there some greatness after that?
A lot of people, the staunch rock and rollers, think that, but no, he did. I mean, on Big Al Station, we play loads of Elvis, but from the rock and roll period onwards as well. I mean, a lot of people only joined Elvis in the 70s. It depends, I think, really where you came into on the roundabout, where you jumped on. A lot of people have discovered him in the 70s. Some discovered him in the 60s. Others discovered him in the 50s. I think with all music, it depends where you discovered them, and that's the
Paul,
period you probably like.
You're young enough to have discovered him in the 90s, I should think.
Yeah, well, I'm not that old. I'm Chinese, and we get away, you know, one day I'll just wake up one day and I'll be just totally ancient.
Is that how it works?
That's how it works. So we're just, we're like Fred Astaire, you know, we're going to be either very young or very, very old. My favourite Elvis song is, this is something I was going to disagree with Mike on, until he kind of pulled himself out of it.
Quickly.
Yeah, no, If I Can Dream, it's based on the...
Yes. Good song.
It's a gospel song.
It's one they play a lot at Graceland. Mike?
It's Now or Never.
Okay.
Yes, but what's your favourite song?
Very good.
Hey, it's a comedy show.
Later we're going to get you to sing. I want to get you to sing anyway. Thank you very much. Mike Reid and Elvis is sitting on the sofa. Hello, Paul Hugh. Morning to you both.
Hello.
Paul, you're obviously a bit of a fan.
Yeah, well, I'm more of a fan. I'm like the people you've just seen in on that videotape. I'm actually a working Elvis. So I get out there and I actually sing the songs and I kind of strut my stuff for for the paying public.
Is there a lot of work? Sorry, out there. There is still.
Yeah, there's loads, and there's actually quite a lot of work, and there's I think the UK has the most Elvises per capita of anywhere in Europe or in the world. So there must be enough to keep us all employed, and I think the UK, especially the northwest of England, has, and York in particular, for some strange reason, have very many Elvises, and they're all working.
Collective name is Elvi.
Elvi.
There are. Elvi.
Yeah. 30 years on, it's still very relevant. The music somehow it was, I mean, and it gets reworked like A Little Less Conversation was last year.
Yeah, well, you can take a song like that was never big first time round, never one of Elvis's big songs, work it in that way and still have a #1. It's extraordinary. It's testimony to the guy, really. I mean, how many impersonators of other artists are there around the world? Not that many. But Elvis, every street has an Elvis in it, doesn't it? Really?
Virtually, yeah.
What is it about him? What is it? Is it the songs? Was it him? Was it the moves? What was it that's so special, do you think?
I think what was special here is that no English boy could ever be Elvis. They could possibly be Cliff, they could be Lonnie Donegan, they could be one of the Beatles. That was within reach. Elvis was never within reach, and it's bewildering still that he never came here. How many British acts could sell multi-millions in the States and never go there? I mean, it's extraordinary, really.
He did tap into something you were talking earlier about, sort of Bill Haley being around at the same time, but Elvis was the first one to shake those hips, and in the early years, he really did strut his stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you can see behind
here. Jailhouse Rock is pretty mild, actually, compared with other songs.
Well, famously, Elvis caused such a sensation on TV that they had to film him from the waist up, and then on the Ed Sullivan Show, all he had to do was whittle his little finger, or maybe his index finger, and then that caused meltdown on the airwaves in America.
How are your hips?
They're quite well oiled, actually. I mean, because I think it's the daily exercise keeps them quite nicely hinged.
And you probably noticed that neither of us have been shot from the waist down, which is quite proper.
Yes. So just one of my favourite stories is that he once entered an Elvis Presley lookalike contest and allegedly lost.
Yeah, that's an apocryphal story. Yeah, and it was with singing as well. I mean, this is how good the impersonators can be. They can actually be better than Elvis.
The trouble is, in one sense, it is that a lot of the Elvis history is airbrushed. If you go to Graceland, there's no mention of prescription drugs and that sort of thing. I mean, there was the darker side to the man, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was, and I think when anyone does a musical here, people from Elvis camp turn up and say, so what are you going to do with the king? And they make sure that it is, as you say, a little bit airbrushed. But, I mean, the key thing, as you said there, it's all about the music. I mean, and that's what it is. People still love it. Of all ages, every age loves Elvis. I mean, we're going to be playing Elvis all day today, and I guess other radio stations as well. So, I mean, it's still that. I mean, all that time on after somebody's death, it's extraordinary. I mean, in 1970, would we have been still playing a whole day of songs from somebody who died in 1940? No.
Also, you talked about the control of his image as well. The controls are even tight, even in this day and age as well. Image and the rights to his music and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I think the Colonel's legacy lives on, doesn't it? His hand is reaching out and still controlling, really.
Yeah, well, interestingly, quite recently, the rights to Elvis Presley's estate were bought by an American billionaire, a guy called Robert Sillerman. And the whole attitude to protecting, you know, the Elvis estate has changed. So really, up until quite recently, you will not have seen or heard any products being identified with Elvis songs or imagery, but you're starting to see it happen nowadays.
We're going to do favourite songs, and then you're going to sing for us, Paul.
Okay.
Your favourite song?
Yeah, I said earlier it's now or never, but then you start thinking of so many others, don't
changed.
you? No, you do. I mean, Angel, I love. That's a great song. Love Me Tender. Don't is just a wonderful song. There are so many of them. I mean, I can't wait to get in this morning and play them now. I'm all keyed up now.
Angel is a very nice song.
It's a great song.
Yeah, my favourite song is If I Can Dream, based on the Martin Luther King song. It's a gospel song, but the song I'm going to do, because it's a song that may still at least sound roughly okay, given that haven't got any backing, is Always on My Mind. And I've just got to kind of readjust my
You just get ready for it.
Thank you very much.
Mind the song.
Maybe I didn't love you quite as good as I should have. Maybe I didn't treat you quite as on as I could have. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. Come on, Mike, join me now. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Oh, thank you very much, baby.
Elvis is still in the building.
Elvis is definitely
Elvis never
here.
actually performed, did he, in Britain? But he landed at Prestwick Airport.
Prestwick Airport, yeah.
I've seen him live on television now,
Yeah.
at least in spirit.